if he's going to mix things up at all. But already some big picks coming through. Rell feels like pretty much the top of the support table right now, and Vulcan going to be able to grab it.
Yeah, not a massive amount of changes so far in the bans though. Camille, Lilia, GP, Olaf, Thresh, and Udyr are the first 6. So Udyr's still getting banned on that red side. Still a lot of the champions we've seen quite a bit of. But we, as you mentioned, we have changed patch. At least this is a consideration. But certainly Jinx is a big one as well. So first pick Jinx here for Stixxay. Certainly the kind of champion he likes to play on.
Yeah, no kidding. This is going to be pretty exciting. Jinx did receive some pretty significant buffs on 11.4, gained a lot of base HP. Also, as a result, the play rate in solo queue has like doubled, right? We're seeing this all the time in high-level solo queue and Challenger. It just got played in LEC as well. I do think it's quite a powerful pick. It's harder to actually abuse in the laning phase as a result of having higher health, harder to all-in as well. We know the team fighting is incredibly strong. The question is, will they be able to try to punish it? Does Cloud9 want to go for any sort of aggressive AD pairing alongside the Rell to try to go at Stixxay? Or do they want to go for something like the Kaisa to try to scale alongside it?
All right, well, Gragas, the other pick there. Could be top lane, could be jungle. We'll see where that goes. There's also Hecarim still for Blaber, so not getting off the farming jungler this time around, but certainly, even if the gains are a little bit slower, and they are, that's not an understatement at all, Cloud9 are the type of team that can kind of play around anyone, and if they feel like continuing to play around Blaber, who is playing very well, why not pick something like Hecarim?
Yeah, Hecarim's great. I mean, Hecarim is that hard engage, does pair well with the Kaisa, so we kind of get that answer. Yes, there is potential of looking for all-ins in lane when you are playing with Kaisa, but generally speaking, it is more about the team fight, more about the later stages of the game. We have 2 forms of hard engage. We have backline dive, not only with the Hecarim and Rell, but also with the follow-up there from the Kaisa. It can pair well with semi-global and global champions, so you now have to be worried on the Golden Guardian side about things like the Galio, about things like the Twisted Fate potentially. So I do think it's fairly flexible. First couple picks here. With Skarner coming through, this is interesting. Bringing the lockdown here for Iconic, so less that farm heavy style, but this is a champion you can build full tank. You do have incredibly quick clearing as long as you're controlling the spires in your jungle. The engage option is pretty powerful there as well. And there's always that QSS tax, and this is something that I do like to see, being able to force the divergence in build paths, especially if your team comp is more physical damage heavy, then you don't get nearly as much value out of just the MR on something like a QSS.
Makes sense there, and I think pretty much confirms that Gragas is going to be top lane, although there certainly are options there. Newbie, for example, could play it. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the reasons Gragas is so powerful is that he is so flexible. But we'll see what happens. It does feel like a quieter top and jungle, if that is the case for Golden Guardians, where perhaps they're going to be relying more on Stixxay's Jinx, perhaps relying more on AblazeOlive, who did have a pretty good game on the Trist. Even though Golden Guardians wins have been very long, that is not like the only moment of success they've had since the lock-in tournament. So I think be curious to see how they look here. Certainly lining up for a slower game, but that also could just be a patch trend here, as we're expecting 11.4 to most likely elongate games a little bit.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if that actually does, become a reality. I think some people have a bit of diverging views on this. Are we going to see more of a slower scaling style? Are, early game junglers going to come into the fold and try to push the pace of things a little bit? Will be interesting, but thus far, some attention to the globals, the TF getting taken off the table, so Cloud9 would still have the opportunity to go towards a Galio if they did want to do so. Of course, there is the concern of Lulu being paired up with Jinx there, so that will be banned away. When you have things like Jinx coming back into the meta, enchanters just naturally become more popular because you have such a powerful late game carry. As long as you can protect this champion with something like a Lulu, a Janna, even sometimes the Karma can be fairly effective. Not only the additional move speed, but that shielding allows these champions to really just take over and completely dominate team fights at times.
Well, Aurelia and Lulu. Aurelia, I guess the other band there on the Cloud9 side. Syndra going to be the pickup there for AblazeOlive, so going to give Perkz the opportunity to counter pick, but Syndra pretty safe blind pick, especially these days. Mid lane is so many different control mage battles. Azir is still a man, so it could just be the pick Perkz wants to go to, but Syndra does have some play there. And speak of the Karma, and she perhaps shall appear. Cloud9 at least going to consider it here.
Would be interesting. Could go mid or top potentially here. I don't think we're going to see Rell flex anywhere else, so this is very likely a solo lane pick. Azir getting locked in means that it is going to be top lane Karma, so I think that they are assuming that this is going to be the Gragas that he's laning up against, and it will in fact be that Gragas, so it is going to be the other enchanter that I did kind of mention earlier here, Janna getting locked in. And I do think Janna's actually really, really strong, especially against Rell. The W from Rell is fairly delayed. You have quite a bit of time to actually react with the ultimate to knock her out, or even the tornado there to interrupt that crash down. The peel for the Jinx, of course, is incredibly important, and this does feel very much like front to back. You have Gragas as well as that Skarner for the engage, so it's okay to have Janna. You don't need to have engage in all the roles here. You know, both teams actually bringing the enchanter to the table, just having them in those different lanes. So pretty interesting stuff over on the Golden Guardians, but also on the side of Cloud9, they have the ability to dive deep, you know, with a lot of the engage here. The Hecarim, the Azir, the Kaisa can even follow up there, and bringing this Karma to the top lane means that they're equally going to have protection for their late game carry. You know, my only real question is what kind of build is Fudge going to go to? In solo queue, a lot of time when you see Karma top, it's actually grasp tank Karma, which adds so much less value to the team fighting come, you know, that stage of the game. So, you know, I think I would actually prefer to see more just kind of the airy style, build towards the Moonstone, build towards that supportive style, because Gragas is not a split push champion. Gragas is not about the 1v1. So I think that Fudge can survive the laning phase with a more supportive style build, and then really help to enable, you know, this Azir and this Kaisa when it comes to 5v5.
I mean, you have to think so. It feels like Gragas is mostly getting picked because, like, Gragas doesn't really lose to anything. So in that case, I feel like that kind of opens the floodgates for Karma to go pretty heavy on the support. And indeed, your wish may indeed be granted, as it is airy already for Fudge as the keystone. Other than that, though, no real surprises. Conqueror Jinx, I guess, may be somewhat surprising if you haven't seen Jinx in a while, but makes sense again. And I think if this is a preview for 11.4, what I said earlier may already be coming true, because this certainly is a much more 5v5 oriented, we're okay if the game goes longer, style of draft from both these teams.
It is. It definitely is. So we'll see exactly how it is going to pan out. You know, you mentioned the area. I do think that that is likely going to mean that it is just at least AP, even if he doesn't go for, you know, support item first. It's going to be more of that team fight style of build rather than just building towards tank, I think, when you see the Airy. One thing that is a little bit surprising is that it is actually lethal tempo on the Azir. Generally speaking, when you do have the range matchups, you see Comet or you see Electrocute actually being grabbed there. In this case, this is much more about scaling towards the later stages. So Perkz is forgoing the more powerful laning rune and actually setting himself up to deal with what is going to be a pretty big front line of the Gragas as well as this Skarner, knowing they could be shielded up, they could be difficult to take down. He's really, you know, spending his power to build towards taking them out later.
Yeah, well, same side start here for both junglers, but Blaber's not going to get any help, and Niles will indeed be helping Iconic, so Fudge will get first to the wave. Bottom side, though, actually where we should be paying at least the early attention, because the race to level 2 is so important here, is that ward, I believe, yep, did get taken out by newbie.
Yeah, both supports actually on a sweeper start, so that's really showing how much they want to emphasize controlling the brush. And, you know, that is because you can sweep out that ward. Both marksmen are playing with a warding totem. Both of the supports are playing on the sweeper. You want to have that ward in the brush to have control of that so that the enemy support can't just, you know, dip into fog and be able to poke away for free or be able to have engage out of fog as Vulcan is looking to do. So that is why they are going for that sweeper early on. It can be pretty effective.
Going in level 2 for both here, but already Vulcan starting off the fight. Stixxay getting low to get themselves out of there, and Vulcan dismounted, but not really much trade damage there. Nice start for the Cloud9 duo.
Yeah, that was really well done by them. Both teams were trying to race towards level 2, but Golden Guardians got it second, and as a result, you know, Vulcan goes in for the very quick engage. Newbie was late on his tornado. He was not in time to actually interrupt the W. You know, as I was talking about, that W knockup did land. He was actually able to combo that with his E-stun right after, so that is why they won that trade pretty heavily. Stixxay was just straight up locked down, so Golden Guardians either needed to react better to the engage or just accept the fact that they were going to lose the race to level 2 and back it up a little bit.
Right, well, Iconic on the blue buff now. It's actually flown through top half of the jungle decently there. Even going to early smite the Krog's going to go for double stuns. They're very efficient use of Skarner's tools there to jungle, but Blaber going to be down here to that bottom side, takes that shrine, and now going to look for the invade or the crab.
Okay, for a second I thought he was just going to walk in, and since Iconic did early smite, there was potential for him just walk in and smite away that blue buff. Of course, he wouldn't have had the information that that was going on. He does now know that bottom side scuttle was taken, but because of his location on the map, there's no way he's really going to be able to get up to the top side scuttle to actually take that. Fudge has full lane priority up here against Niles. He had him under the turret, so this does mean Blaber is going to get a 5 camp clear into double scuttle. He can then go down to the Krugs on the bottom side and farm that up after. But because Iconic did the 6 camp clear at least, you know, he didn't contest heavily for the scuttle, so he's not going to be as far behind.
Oh, good stun there for AblazeOlive, actually. Gets a bit of damage onto Perkz, but running out of mana on the Syndra side. So I imagine we'll see some TPs relatively soon as both mid lane mages are using that mana pool. Blaber, though, already going to go back after getting 2 crabs, which is great, and has that chain already finished up. So well on the way. Again, despite those changes to the small camps, Scuttle Crab still maintains its greatness as a jungle camp, and junglers were happy to get 2 crabs before, going to be even happier now after those changes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's worth even more proportionally compared to the rest of those camps. It is a lot of gold. You know, we did see the analyst desk going over some of the changes. Of course, the gold values are flat. The experience difference is not as much in the early game as it is in the late game now. So you can expect some of these, you know, heavily farming junglers to not be keeping up with solo laners later on. In the early stages, doesn't make a huge difference. You can still get level 3 off of one side of the map. You know, you can still get to that level 4 on a full camp clear. So it's not that big of a deal in the earlier stages, and more going to affect the players that are just power farming the whole time.
All right, well, bottom side still pretty even on farm, but Zven feeling good as Longsword's battle here in the bottom side. Early shield there for newbie. The Stixxay looks to line up them rockets, but again, despite this kind of thing, great interrupt there for newbie this time, although actually doesn't quite grab it. Now the exhaust going to be forced out onto Zven, but Vulcan at least did commit the ignite, so newbie low but not dead. First blood still on the table for both of these teams.
I mean, this is one of these champions that people always like to kind of make fun of, you know, janna and so, like Sona and all these type of champions. It's like, aha, it's so easy. But back-to-back times, newbie has actually failed the tornado interaction. That's why he picked this, is to be able to actually disengage the engages from Rell. And, you know, he's 0 for 2 now on doing that, and now has no flash. So,
oh, what a stun! Vulcan just barely found it. Now Blaber zooming down to the bottom side. It's Stixxay going to be given first blood over to Zven.
Nicely done there by Cloud9. They force out the summoners off of newbie early, and Stixxay, as soon as they get behind him, he's not even going to bother using the flash. There was no chance of him surviving there. And bad goes to worse as he not only misses that farm, first blood goes to Zven, who's going to be very far ahead here. So we've got to see this Golden Guardians bottom lane playing a little bit better. It felt like perhaps they got baited a bit into a false sense of security because Iconic was pathing down, and now AblazeOlive out of mana.
Yeah, it does have flash. Oh, that stun somehow still clipped him, but no one under the tower can follow, so AblazeOlive is going to live and hold on to his flash. Very bold to not have to use it there, but does escape under his tier 2 tower.
Yeah, nice calm play from him. He will miss out on some of these minions, but he does have teleport, so it's not that bad. Here we can see this one more time. The dismounted engage on Rell is something that I think is actually quite underrated. As Blaber comes in here with the Ghost E, he is incredibly fast. When you actually dismount, you can use the remount and you get a bunch of move speed towards your opponents. You flip them over your shoulder. So as soon as that actually happens to Stixxay, there's no way he was going to be able to flash away from and get out of range of that knockback that was coming in from Blaber. So I think the right decision to actually just accept his death and not use the flash, but a great early play here from Cloud9, and to follow that up with more mid lane pressure. Despite the fact they didn't get the kill, it's still valuable. You know, they force out the teleport, they deny a couple minions, and it was a pretty low-risk play. So just good early minutes of the game here from Cloud9.
Certainly so. As a result of the mid lane scuffle, though, both have now committed their teleport. AblazeOlive is going to scoop up this wave and even up the CS. So Perkz just going to waddle over and collect the blue buff as things will relax just a little here. But it is nice to see that Cloud9 maybe altering some of their style, but not all of it. Still playing a similar kind of pace. Again, Blaber not content to just farm through the jungle on Hecarim, which, to be perfectly honest, you shouldn't be just doing anyway. But continuing to play aggressive and look for angles, even without his ultimate in that case in bottom side. So it is nice to see that, despite perhaps the shift in metagame that we are witnessing, nice stun again from AblazeOlive. Does get the damage on the Perkz, but can't follow up. Despite that shift, Cloud9 aren't really changing much of how they want to approach the game, even if the champions and compositions are different.
Yeah, they're going to look to be aggressive, right? You know, you bring in the Janna. Vulcan's not just going to give you a free pass that you're going to be able to interrupt all these engages. He's going to try to test you. And so far, you know, Golden Guardians has been found wanting in that regard. You know, Blaber getting the pre-6 ganks off on the Hecarim is going to feel really nice anytime you can do that. Iconic looking for the invade here. They both do have Smite, though.
Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. Gets the stun, gets the suppress. Smite out as well. There's the follow-up from AblazeOlive, and that's a freebie as Iconic serves up a kill for AblazeOlive.
Nicely done, and not only did they get the kill, but he actually gets the gold off the red buff as well. Yes, if Blaber took that red buff, he would have gotten the red buff from him, but getting the gold, getting the experience, getting the kill is really, really nice, and Blaber just not expecting that, had this Smite available, but of course didn't know that the invade was going on. AblazeOlive on the roam there, just not enough vision from Cloud9 in the area, and they pick up an easy kill. They get the dragon off of this. This is just really good stuff here, you know, from Golden Guardians. I also like that Iconic didn't just immediately smite. He waits a little bit, he hits the E there, then pulls the ultimate, and that's something that Captain Flowers always likes to talk about. If you land the E and then you ult, you have that follow-up stun immediately coming out of the ult, and so even if they were to try to escape, they don't really have any opportunity to do so.
Yep, no flash, of course, for Blaber, just Ghost, but didn't have a chance to ult out anyway, so very nicely played for Golden Guardians, who also got the Ocean Drake off the result of that play. Iconic with a very efficient segue with the Blast Plant to be able to take that objective off, as well as a recall cancel will be attempted by Zven, but he just barely misses Stixxay, who's now going back with that nuke of a Perkz up into AblazeOlive. Now going to have to hold, but just walks towards the wall, threatens to flash away, and walks on out of there.
Yeah, Perkz was trying to just get in range for that attract repel, the Rell stun there. You don't actually have to be on the other side of them with the tether beam. There is like a pretty big circle around the person that you're tethered to, so you can actually stun people in front of you, and he was about a step out of range of that, and had he got that, he could have used the ultimate to follow up after. Didn't want to commit his own ultimate or flash, you know, immediately before that landed, because they just, again, had no vision on this side of the map. One pink ward does get cleared out, but Golden Guardians prior to that had 4 pink wards down in this bottom river area, so obviously Perkz and Vulcan were not sure if someone was going to be coming in behind AblazeOlive, and again, he's able to just play it pretty calm, collected, and survive the pressure.
Yeah, certainly been looking more comfortable, and again, he did talk about that in their very long win when he was playing Trist. I know there was some wanted criticism of that he wasn't playing aggressively enough given the position he was in that game, but did cite some nerves there, because again, this is still a very new team, so perhaps feeling a bit more confident, which is impressive even against the likes of Perkz, who is extremely responsible, by the way, already before finishing a Mythic or a Legendary, has a QSS already done.
Yeah, that's always so frustrating as a Skarner player or Malzahar player or really any of those to see that early QSS. It's like, well, guess I'm not using it on him. It's also a lot of value. You know, I talked about how it's great to force out the QSS tax, especially if it's a physical matchup. As
ooh, tries to hurt him towards Vulcan. Actually, I think it's going to work. Good flash, but there's the ulti over the top, and Perkz is going to get the kill in the end.
Third time is the charm there. Cloud9 again going to mid lane. This time they get the kill and the flash, and they have a Herald to actually drop behind this. So despite the fact that AblazeOlive has done a great job withstanding this pressure, he's going to lose his life. He's going to lose his summoner, be a lot more vulnerable to any potential follow-up ganks there. And that is pretty rough here. You know, again, playing down towards that bottom side, but this time Rell and Hecarim are coming in behind him. Perkz just kind of shepherds him in towards Vulcan. And you notice that Blaber knew the flash was available, so he holds the ultimate until after the flash is expended, follows him over the wall, and does kill him off. Very nicely done. But the QSS is just going to be a lot of value against the Syndra as well, right? Because Syndra is a burst champion. You can, of course, use the QSS on the Scout of the Week, but even just that MR is going to help you not get 100 to 0'd. It's going to eliminate the flat spell pun on the Sork Boots and more. So it's going to be a great early value buy here for Perkz.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen a lot of Verdant Barrier, of course, as finally a stun misses on camera for AblazeOlive. And Perkz is looking for those plates, but just barely, I think, one auto away from grabbing it there.
A very greedy boy, just tanking up in multiple turret shots. Does make you a little bit nervous. If he stayed for maybe one more turret shot, could have been bad, but you know, he's going to be able to use that refillable, just continue to push in, and wants the pressure for these plates. He has a minute and a half to collect it, so I do expect him to grab at least one more plate before we hit that 14-minute mark. But Cloud9 trying to fight back for a little bit of vision down on this bottom side. Rell has been constantly moving over towards that mid lane. The downside of that is there's...
Good ult? Not enough.
No, not quite enough. Oh, Stixxay ultimate, will it hit?
Just enough? We're going to find out together. Oh, he hits it, Stixxay! Takes down Perkz! Perkz!
Oh my god, what a shot. The Observer smurfing it there. Tracking that rocket cross map to grab a kill. Nicely done by Stixxay. And, you know, Rell has been out of lane so much that it has allowed him to farm fairly effectively. You know, he is down on farm, of course. He did get killed off early, but they have not been able to really, you know, extend that lead massively. And now he gets a little bit of kill gold in his pocket here, so they're going to be feeling pretty good about that.
Absolutely. Picks it up, has it nuke with, Zerka goes ready to go. Turret plating almost off, 30 seconds until that one's fallen off. But Cloud9 have been playing pretty well, but Golden Guardians, I think, holding them nicely here in this early game. Yes, Cloud9 are up, you know, 800 gold, but it's not really too much in the early side, and they do have the first dragon as well. Continued battles here in mid, though, have been kind of the big point of pressure, as Golden Guardians finally going to try and get the jump on somebody else in the mid lane rather than the other way around, because Vulcan has just been so active in that part of the map.
Yeah, they want to continue stacking these dragons, but Cloud9 are building for the 5v5. You can see that the Moonstone's already done here for Fudge, so he's pretty much ready to go. He is actually roaming down. Niles is not moving, so this will just be a dragon given over, and we can see if they're going to be working towards the Infernal or the Mountain Soul. Will be Mountain on the table here.
Flash for Stixxay, forced to get out of there as Vulcan once again threatening. Had the ulti actually ticking away, so popped in with Crash down to try and get it done. But Stixxay does flash it, which is a nice work from him. Is Iconic looking to chase Perkz, but doesn't land the E. So no slow, which means no fun, as he at least collects 15 gold from the Spire and this control ward.
Yeah, you can see he has the chem tank done, as does Niles. So pretty big emphasis on the engage with their double tanks up in that top side of the map, building towards that for their mythic item. And it is going to give them, you know, a lot of ability to try to pick off some of these members. They're going to have to be on point with their engages, I do think, you know, to be able to catch either Perkz or Zven. Those do feel like really the two that you are going for here. If you're not able to actually lock them down with that initial engage, I do think it's going to be pretty difficult for Golden Guardians to be able to survive with the amount of damage that's over on the side of Cloud9. You know, the super powered support up in that top lane with that Karma. I think you could even just go towards the second item. Ardent Sensor here is very effective for both the Kaisa and the Azir. You don't have to just default to that Staff of Flowing Water, so we'll see where he does want to go.
I have to say, though, for how well AblazeOlive is navigating here against Perkz, I feel like every single time I see him land a stun in lane, I check see if he has ulti. This time he had it. It's like, oh, maybe he'll go in. And then I see Vulcan on my left-hand side of the screen. Like, he is always there. Every time I think Syndra has an opening, Vulcan has just been such a pest in the mid lane. And, you know, what newbie's trying to match the roams, but, like, it's the janna. What are you going to do as Blaber looks to dive Stixxay? This just feels unfair. Right under the tower, in goes Zven. See you later, Stixxay, as Zven's going to claim it. But AblazeOlive looking for the trade kill. Iconic finds the suppression. Under the tower they go. Niles is there as well. Bumps him away from the team as Iconic will take down Zven in trade.
Nice teleports and a good trade kill picked up there, taking down Zven, but he does grab the kill on Stixxay, and it's unfortunate that it is actually the Skarner grabbing the kill here for Golden Guardians. So all things considered, still a nice play from Cloud9. They're the ones making that proactive move and going to be able to get more out of it. Also looks like they should be able to grab this second Rift Herald for themselves, but Golden Guardians are moving in here. Potential is there to threaten a fight, but you can see Perkz is actually just killing the mid lane tower right now.
Yeah, this is a 4v3 now, but it would have been a 4v4 if Perkz came over. Instead, C9 decided that they'll take mid instead, and Golden Guardians actually will collect the Herald as a result, so thanks for the leash. Iconic going to go ahead and grab the eye, and maybe going to look to drop it quickly here, try and get a tower trade. Instead, it is just going to be that empowered recall back for Iconic, as Stixxay is left to clean up things in mid.
When you lose a tower for a Herald, though, it's not really worthwhile, right? You know, the Herald, on average, is worth like half a tower or 40% of a tower. We can see this one more time. The ulti Fear into the E knockback. That applies Plasma, so Zven then can follow up. But Iconic up here, Niles TPing in, and he is just fully locked down. The Skarner ultimate into the E-stun, into the belly bop. The ultimate coming through from Gragas as well, so no real chance for Zven to get out of there. But he didn't expend any summoners, so the death is really not that costly for him. And Perkz now, in addition to that QSS, does have his mythic item completed. He's got the tier 2 boots. So both the carries here from Cloud9 looking really strong at this point.
Yeah, it's actually Leandri's versus and Sorks for both the mids right now. But as you said, Gale Force also done for Zven, so feeling pretty good. Kraken Slayer, though, online for Stixxay, so everyone's kind of in the right place. But it is Cloud9 that are up almost 2,000 gold. And after splitting those first two dragons, you have to feel that that is starting to build into a lead that could become a lot more come this mid-game, depending on how the teams want to navigate. But Niles, who was down to that bottom side, is going to roam in and clear out some vision, because perhaps they want to look for this dragon in 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah, it does feel like they want to play pretty heavily around those dragons. I think, with the double tanks, with a pretty heavy emphasis on the engage, the 5v5 themselves, Golden Guardians feel that they need to be successful in that area. Zven up here to match the push, though, wants to get those waves going in the right direction here. Would have to be recalling, or heading down towards that bot side fairly quick. Will be interesting to see where he wants to go. Collector is kind of the default, but as enchanters do become more popular, Serpent's Fang is actually becoming more and more valuable. The bonus damage onto shielded targets against people like Janna, and even that W shield from Skarner can be pretty nice.
Ooh, Niles, 1v4, going to kick things off on the Fudge. Iconic gets the ulti down, but there's other collapses as Vulcan gets the ulti down, and somehow Niles is going to live for a bit longer, but still going to fall at the end of it all as Zven now chasing onto Iconic, looking for that second kill, but Golden Guardians do at least get their Skarner out of there. And now Vulcan looking for the re-engage, but the Q lands this time as AblazeOlive forced to flash out. Perkz are going to get interrupted by newbie's janna ulti, but AblazeOlive still dies at the end of it as Perkz. He flashes away from Stixxay's rocket.
I just don't even understand the engage that Niles and Iconic are going for. I mean, it's like a nice flank pulled off. If the rest of your team is there, that would have been a great fight. But they were engaging with 3 of their members still very, very far away. So they went in, they pull off this great flank, but where is the damage? You have a tank Skarner, a tank Gragas here. They do go in, they use their full combo, both ultimates committed, but there's no follow-up. There's no damage that's even anywhere near them. They really need to be more patient on that. When newbie, Stixxay, and AblazeOlive are all not in position, you've got to back off. You've got to have the patience to wait for them to get there. And unfortunately for them, they do not. It cost them multiple kills. They almost trade one back and do force out the QSS and flash from Perkz, which is something, but again, it's another lost fight. It's another dragon going the way of Cloud9. And it just felt like a bit of an itchy trigger finger there from Niles and Iconic, not waiting for their team to be ready for the engage.
Yeah, just not on the same page as Golden Guardians. Going to be unhappy to lose that one. Almost 4,000 gold down as a result. Collector is now finished for Zven, so answering at least that question, but do agree that I'm expecting more Serpent's Fang in the future. The passive, if I recall correctly, is literally called Shield Breaker. Seems pretty good up against a bunch of shields. But C9 just kind of chilling out. I mean, QSS now done for Blaber, so he can go for broke in any sort of fight, which is, let me tell you, something Blaber loves to do.
Yeah, he's just going to be having, more of an ability to play aggressive. As you're saying, that's exactly what he does want. Rift Herald will get dropped, but it's so far away, you feel like Cloud9 should be able to move members over and actually respond to this if they do choose to do that. But the items coming through pretty quickly now for Cloud9. The gold lead is really starting to show itself as the second completed item is there for Zven. It's not for Stixxay. Obviously, cheaper item build up in that top lane, but C9 is just so much stronger.
Vulcan going again, though. Good ulti from newbie to disengage, but here comes Blaber for the re-engage, and that's the ulti onto Blaber, but that moves Iconic into the enemy team as Blaber just going to take him out.
Nicely done, and now it's straight over to Baron. It's 21 minutes, but the jungler is down. They have a lot of shielding here. They still have the potential to turn for some sort of an engage if they do want to do it. And they're just going to force Golden Guardians to try to come to them and take the fight. It feels like if you give up this Baron this early on, the game is all but sealed. We'll see if they can do anything about it.
All right, Niles in the front, AblazeOlive around the back. They've got a ward in the pit as well. Niles going in, going to dunk Zven into himself, but there's no one there again to follow up. They're just going to try and steal, but the smite comes through for Blaber. Now Niles going to get assaulted as Perkz looks for the flank around the back. Niles looking to get low and does indeed die as Zven dives into the front of the fight, and Stixxay is going to be left for dead. And Golden Guardians lose everything there. 3 kills to Cloud9, if I count correctly, and that Baron as well.
Yeah, that is just so huge. And now they're going to be able to pick up even more gold. Perkz TPing down in the bottom lane to grab that outer tier 1. AblazeOlive, he was just trying to go for the steal here over the wall. Niles is in the pit trying to be disruptive, but they do not have quite enough damage. You can see they tried to combo the Jinx ulti with that damage coming through there from the Syndra, but the Jinx ulti actually has to hit a player to be able to get the splash damage over onto that dragon, and it missed. So as a result, they didn't have that, and unfortunately for them, Cloud9 now 7,000 plus gold in the lead, 22 minutes in. They have the Baron. They have the Dragon advantage, and they are just ridiculously far ahead at this point in the game.
Yeah, it kind of is one of those things where the early game at some point felt close, now the game is absolutely not close, as Cloud9 just going to continue that snowball. Hex Flash over the wall for Vulcan, who's been on point today. Still gets to start on newbie, forcing the ulti again. But a temporary solution to the problem as Cloud9 still siege down the mid-tier 2.
It's just the trade of ulti, so not too bad, but the problem is, as you say, what's happening to these structures. You know, Perkz is actually killing that bottom lane tier 2. They killed off that mid lane tier 2. The gold lead just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Actually looking like Perkz is building towards Cosmic Drive, which I think is an incredibly strong item on this patch. Not one that I would say I expected to actually come out for an Azir, but, you know, with the flat move speed and ability haste on it, as long as you already have one item completed, you hit that 160 AP benchmark that you do need for it, and it becomes incredibly powerful. You know, really for any AP champion that would consider going into a Ghost or a Phase Rush, anything like that, I think this item is just nuts now.
Yeah, it seems really good, so excited to see players hopefully pick up it more and more. Could just be, I mean, if it's good on Azir, it has to be good on just about every mage, I feel like. Because, like you said, Azir is like one of the lowest candidates I had. I had for that item there as Iconic zooming in. Does tag Blaber, but no follow-up. Did have a flash, but again, not wanting to overcommit. Blaber has the ulti and QSS, actually, so kind of the big deal there is Blaber not really a viable target to be locked down. And Golden Guardian's just going to have to play PvE for a bit. We're going to have AblazeOlive clear out the bottom wave and see if they can hold on, because Dragon 3 is coming up in 25, and I don't think Golden Guardians are getting that one.
They're playing PvE, but they're a couple tiers behind as far as the loot goes. Unfortunately for them, you know, they're wearing rags. Their opponents have armor made out of diamonds and lightning, and it's not looking like a fair fight. So we'll see what they can get done here, but I think at this point, you just give up the next dragon. You pray that Cloud9 makes a mistake trying to crack the base. You look for some sort of engage or turnaround fight on a potential dive that Cloud9 would be coming through for. That's probably your best bet, but it's really tough because when you're sitting back in the base and you're hoping for your opponent to make a mistake, they just start foaming both sides of the jungle. The gold lead expands. It gets harder and harder and harder to ever really find that moment where you can make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost at 10k. I feel like it's not even just that, like, it's, you know, common loot versus diamonds and lightning. It's like, they don't even have enough gold to, like, repair the stuff they've been using in battle. It's all, like, broken. Sword. Exactly. So it's tough going out there.
Yeah.
It is. But the Cloud9 continuing to look good, which is nice. Again, weren't sure how teams were really going to react to this patch. We are seeing some of the changes already, but I think we should probably expect things to be slower as the meta develops around the world and not kind of happen overnight. And still, I like that Cloud9's identity is kind of staying the same. Fudge is on something safe. You know, Gragas and Karma, not exactly the same, but I think both have a similar level of supportiveness and safety to them that they want to add to comps that are playing more hyper carries, even though Kaisa isn't, you know, a super strong long range carry, still a super strong carry if you get her involved and protect her. So
yeah,
even with Azir and Hecarim and Karma, Cloud9 is still playing like the old Cloud9, and that's what the fans love to see.
Yeah, they're playing it very aggressive. I mean, this is a fast-paced game, you know, for the composition that they have drafted. By no means is Cloud9 sitting back and waiting for things to happen. They are pushing the lead. They are going for engages. They are testing their opponents at every turn, and that is something that you really do expect from a top team in the league, and Cloud9 is delivering in that account. You can see that Zven has also completed his QSS, so all of the people that you would really want to ult now as Iconic have a QSS. It's so unlikely to be able to run past everyone and ult someone like Fudge. You could ult Vulcan, sure, but probably the only time you're in range of him is when he's engaging and has his ult down, so it's not the most ideal target. And it's just unfortunate because when you're down 10k, you know, the QSS, sure, you forced it out, but they have the QSS and they still have as many or more items than your carries do anyway on top.
You know, it's just luxury items, starting to pay for cosmetics at this point in the game. Just got all the shiniest stuff. As Niles maybe looking for an angle here onto Zven. But Vulcan continued to be just so good in this game, honestly. Really showcasing the power of Rell and her engage. As Niles is going to go in, but now Blaber going to counter-engage. AblazeOlive in the middle of the team. Going golden there as Perkz. Oh my god, that damage. As Blaber's just going to zoom in to finish off the kill. Now it's a 5v4. As Perkz is going to try and finish off Stixxay with the help of Zven. And indeed, Zven's going to take him out. Newbie's going to crumble as Cloud9 pick up 3.
Yeah, they're getting it all, and you can see them TPing up towards that top side. That's where they have a minion wave, so they want to, at the very least, crack the inhibitor top side. Perkz setting up the tower mid lane means they want to push here too, and they're getting Niles.
Oh, Niles caught out between the Sun Tower and 3 members of Cloud9. Perkz with the last Sand Soldier. Now on a killing spree as he takes out the 4th member of Golden Guardians. We have 10 seconds or so for Iconic to complete the ace for Cloud9, but also there's a Nexus to contend with as Cloud9 are going to bash through the top inhib.
We'll see if they want to keep going. It looks like they're posturing to try to go for the end here. You can see Perkz standing past the inhibitor. They want to close it out right now.
Yep, going to take out one tower. Iconic here with Newbie and AblazeOlive to try and defend. Stixxay out as well. Again, Vulcan going to find a Magnet Storm 3 after the Attract Repel. And that's just going to be the Nexus there as Vulcan is going to die. But Cloud9 will take the victory. Yes, indeed, they will. It's Cloud9 looking like they haven't missed a beat.
Not at all. Crushing through here, moving to 8-2 now, maintaining that first place position and looking really happy about it. This was a dominant game. Vulcan really shining for Cloud9, you know, testing Newbie early, testing Newbie often, and he was just consistently finding these engages in the laning phase, and then you get to that mid-game stage, Blaber is there with him, pairing up to constantly move around the map. Felt like Vulcan was hardly ever in lane beyond them getting that first kill, and once they had it, he's like, all right, Zven, you're safe in bot lane. I'm going to go pressure mid lane. They attacked AblazeOlive relentlessly. They start to get in Iconic's face, taking away the jungle camps, and this was just a really well-played game here from Cloud9, creating the advantage, extending the advantage, grabbing the early Baron, closing out the game with a super late game comp in sub 30 minutes.
Yep, looking really good for Cloud9 as we are heading to a quick break, but when we return, we have Blaber in the Verizon post-game interview. We'll see you there.